we're not in a funeral, so just lost a couple football games. So well, I think let's cut the ice with that. At the midpoint of the season, obviously not where we want to be. I'll spend a couple minutes on Baylor recap, and then talk a couple things moving forward, and then I know you guys will have some questions, so y'all can fire away. Special teams, I'll start off with. I thought it was below average performance, our worst performance of the year. It really didn't have a positive influence on the game. I thought we had some guys individually that did a nice job. Reese Smith sticks out. Thought he's starting on all 4 units now. Thought he was really good on our coverage teams. A couple strains that really stuck out. Sumter had his best day punting. That's best day net wise. I think he's had. And we did a good job limiting Ebner. He had one decent return where we missed a location. Tried to steal possession with the onside kick. Obviously not well executed. And then our return teams just weren't good enough. We didn't give them a chance. Disappointed in our kickoff return team, especially because we showed some bright spots early, but we did not block them very well. Defensively, the worst game of the season. Baylor had a good plan. And here's the thing: like, I'm going to talk about the negatives on us, but in that same token, like Dave Aranda, Ron Roberts, Jeff Grimes, those guys, they had a really good plan against us. So So anybody that's listening from Baylor, like, I don't want to take any away from them. They played their best game of the year, in my opinion. But at the same time, we didn't play very well. We didn't up front. They did a good job neutralizing our front, which you all know is a strength of our defense. And they did a good job of getting 5 wide and getting the ball out fast, or max protecting, and getting on double teams with guys. I thought they did a nice job of that. But we lost some battles up front. And we missed, I think we had 3 times where we had an opportunity to get interceptions. We didn't, and our lack of takeaways is really hurting us. And then we didn't tackle real well in space. And obviously we didn't cover them. And we talked about that after the game. Offensively, continued just to be very inconsistent. We struggled up front, especially on the right side. Number 8, Petrie, who knew going in the game. We tried to neutralize him and a lot of things we were doing. He still found a way to make some plays, which credit to him. We had way too many negative plays, missed some opportunities in the red zone. Just inconsistent, and you can watch it on tape. We do some things well, and then out of the blue we'll do the same thing that we did well. 2 plays ago, we'll make a mistake on it, and so it's that part of it is very frustrating. Kind of moving forward, bye week, I think it comes at a good time. Physically, we're beat up. I think emotionally spent. I think it's very frustrating. This is going to be gave them yesterday, Sunday, and Monday off. So this afternoon will be the first time I've seen them. Seen the team. I've met with the staff this morning. Was out recruiting yesterday. But frustrated group, just talking to players on the phone and text, and then meeting with staff. I think everybody in this building is frustrated. Nobody likes losing. That's obvious, and I know our fans are frustrated. And this is the way I always think about it, right or wrong, is we're in the entertainment business. That's what we are. And when the product's not good, the people have an opportunity to complain, and that's probably what they're doing. And I don't blame them. It's no different when you go to a restaurant and food's not good, or you watch a movie and it's not good, or however you get your entertainment. When the product's not good, you get complaining. But it's not entertainment for us. It's our livelihood, the people in this building each and every day. And our job is to get it fixed. And can't be reactionary. I think that's the world we live in. Everything wants to be reactionary now. Well, you can't actually be that once you're in it. You have to find ways to fix it. We got to use this week. And this is the way that I approach bye weeks. Not only when we're struggling, but when we're doing well. I think you reflect what's going well, because we've had some good things. We haven't been as consistent, but we lost 3 games right at the end. And then we had a bad showing on Saturday. So you reflect what's been good and bad. I think you do it from an individual perspective. You do it from each phase of the game. You repair what we can fix. I think that's a big piece of it. You got to repair. And then the last thing is you readjust the plan moving forward. And so that's kind of where we're at. You reflect, repair, readjust. We got a lot of football left. We got half a season. Everything's doom and gloom right now. I don't think you approach it like that. From where I'm sitting, and when I sit in front of the team here at 2:45 this afternoon, it's like, not going to be miserable. I think right now is the time to lead. It's easy to lead when things are going well. It's hard to lead when things are going poorly. And our performance on Saturday was poor. And right now is when we need leadership, not only from myself, but from our assistant coaches, from the leaders we have on our team. I think it's the time you lock in, you focus on your people. We've got to pour into our people. We got to meet it head on. It is what it is. We had a bad performance. I don't think you avoid it. You meet it head on, and we go about our work. But it's going to be a challenge, but it's doable. It's doable, and we've played better football, and we will play better football. And so with that, I'll take questions.
So, Neal, you talked about on Saturday you needed a day or two to look at the energy level, watch film, and obviously the reflect and readjust. What did you see out of that? Was it just mistakes, or was it energy problems?
No, I think it was both. I think it was both. I think that we made mistakes in really all three phases. And some of those are repeated mistakes, which those are the ones that you really have an issue with as a coach. But I don't think that our energy, I don't think there was a bunch of loafs. Okay, so I think there's probably less than a handful if you just say, hey, guys weren't playing hard. But to me, the question is, did they strain? Did they go above and beyond? And I don't think that they did compared with some other. If you put the film of Oklahoma game on and then you put that game on, we look at a different speed. Now, is that some things we're doing in practice from a preparation standpoint, or is that just from an effort standpoint? That's what you got to go about and figure out why. But that's what I would say after watching it.
The issues up front, is it technique, personnel, and kind of how do you guys address that moving forward?
Yeah, I've sit up here and we've talked about this. I think we talked about it since 19. And here's the thing, that's the hardest position to get right, and it takes time. And you don't want to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that. But the truth is, it takes time, and we have not performed well enough on the right side. I think Zach Frazier is playing winning football, maybe at an all-conference level. I think James Gamitter is playing really good football. He had one poor protection against Texas Tech, but other than that, playing football at a high level. But everybody else, we got to play better. We got to play better. Some of it's a technique issue. Some of it is from a schematic standpoint. We got to do a better job taking care of them, which is on me. And we're repeating some of the same mistakes. It's not a personnel from a we don't what we're playing is what we got. Those are the people that are ready. Jaquay Hubbard's shown some improvement. He may be a guy that's potentially ready to play, but other than that, the guys that are out there, those are the best we got, and we got to get them better.
You said Saturday that everything is on the table after the loss. Can you elaborate on that now?
No, I just think when things aren't going well, you go back and you reflect, and all right, how can we put our team in a better position? How do we get the most out of our players? I think that's what you go back and look at, and I'm not sitting here today making any big announcements or anything, or we're just going to go about it. We'll practice today, Wednesday and Thursday. What I'm going to do a lot over the next 2 days is listen. We talked a lot in our staff meeting today. I'll meet with each of our coaches like I do on every bye week. I'll meet with probably about a third of our football team over the next day and a half, and get some thoughts and do a lot of listening, and then have a plan moving forward on Thursday about how we're going to attack not only TCU but really the next 6 games.
Neal, this is often a week where you work with developmental players. Could you address some of those guys that we've seen not at all, a little bit, and what their development is like?
Anybody in particular, Greg?
No, I mean, just, again, start with Goose Crowder and sort of work through some of those guys who hardly played.
Yeah, we'll go Monday Night Football. We'll scrimmage today, tomorrow, and Thursday. We'll get them a bunch of reps. Goose is a guy that he's coming along. And from a leadership standpoint, probably has as good a skills as anybody in our program. He's really added positive weight over the last 9 months since being here in January. The game's starting to slow down for him. He's had 2 really good Mondays in a row. Let's stay here. I was paused to think here. No, I'll keep going. At running back, Justin Johnson played on Saturday. He's a guy that's definitely developmentally. He had a couple of really nice runs. He missed some protection issues that he can't do. But he'll continue. We'll work him hard this week. Offensive line wise, Tomas Rimac, is a guy that he's not ready to play right now, but we do think he will. He's progressing well. Really learned how to pass protect for the first time. I talked about Jaquay Hubbard. I think he's a guy that he was really heavy when he got here. He's lost a bunch of weight. Now he's in the process of gaining strength back. I like the way he plays with the effort. He just lacks some strength right now. But he's going to he'll be a player for us down the road. The tight ends, Victor and Traylon, I think, again, they're not ready right now, but they're very similar to what a lot of the league's playing with as far as blockers and guys that can get out in the flats and do those things. And I think they'll be able to help us next year. Start talking defensively, Hammond Russell, guy that's played spot duty. We like what he's doing. He's done a nice job on scout team. I think St. McLeod may be a guy that we're going to get a hard look at that maybe can help us right now. Aubrey Burks played well I think he played 20 snaps or something like that on Saturday, and he did a nice job, and we'll continue to grow him because he needs to play. Probably needs to play more at the safety position. Wilson Lamp, he's been doing well on special teams. New at corner, so there's a little bit of transition process there. Anybody else that jumps out?
Davis Mallinger traveled.
Yeah, Davis Maller's been traveling. He played about 10 snaps, maybe 7 to 10 snaps. I don't have it right in front of me on Saturday. He can really run. He learned how to play defense. He'll help us on special teams. We're going to go on and play him, and he'll be able to help us on special teams moving forward too. He plays the game fast.
Only other one I can think of, Jalen Anderson, obviously
Jalen is just now kind of starting to practice. He was out of shape getting here. He was sick last week, missed some days, but he'll practice this week. But I don't have a big enough, body of work to really comment on him. Anybody else that, while we're on this topic, anybody they wanted to know about from a developmental standpoint, somebody they hadn't seen? Okay.
For depth purposes, not developmental, but Milton and Martin, who have kind of been in and out but weren't there. And safeties, you've been trying to get more people. That's one. Defensive line, same thing. Anything there?
So Middleton is I would say at this point no longer with us. Kerry was sick. He practiced Monday last week, but didn't practice any time after that.
Going back to your quarterback thing, you've been doing the platoon for a while. I don't know, have you seen Garrett grow in beneficial ways more toward where you wanted him to be that he hadn't been earlier? And then conversely, has Jared handled that and benefited him in a way that it hasn't set him back?
I think that's one of the things really looking at this week is I'll talk about Jarrett first. Is I don't think playing Garrett has hampered him or it hasn't necessarily taken practice reps away from him because we always give our backup reps anyway, and we're doing the things we're doing with Garrett we wouldn't ask Jarrett to do, and vice versa as well. And Jarrett, he's been a little bit inconsistent. He missed some things. I thought he competed really hard on Saturday. He had a couple of really good scrambles. He threw the ball away under pressure a couple times. He got smoked on a couple missed blitzes we had, and he got up and delivered the ball the next time, which I think takes real character to do that. But he missed some, especially down the red zone. We had a couple opportunities to score touchdowns, and we didn't take advantage of those. Garrett in the run game, where he really struggled against Texas Tech with his run reads. I thought his run reads were much improved on Saturday against Baylor. But he's got to do what he's coached to do in the pass game. I'm all for the freelance, but he needs to go to 1 to 2 before he takes off and runs. And on Saturday, he just took a drop and then ran. And the struggle is with him is the receiver group is playing by far and away. That's the most productive group on offense right now. And, he's got to be able to utilize them. And there's some things we can do with them in the run game, but they're open when he's playing, and he's got to be able to find them and get them the ball because, like I said, that's the most productive position group right now.
Larry Brown, the guy who ran for 1,000 yards last year, averaged 100 yards a game. This year, halfway through the season, averaging 70 yards a game. Not bad by any means, but how much of that is to do with maybe like the blocking, or is it just the defenses you guys are facing, or what do you think is contributing to the dip in the numbers?
Yeah, I think a little bit of everything. So I still think Letty's a really good player. He the defenses we played are quality defenses. Okay, so I'll say that. The early part of the season this year, from a defensive standpoint, it's probably set up a little bit different than a year ago. But I'll say this: we're not doing a good enough job creating movement for him. All right, we're not getting on some of the second and third level guys at tight end receiver good enough where he can break extended runs. We're not doing a good enough job hitting some of our play action passes, which relaxes some of those safeties where they can't fill in the box quite as quickly. I think those are all factors, and then I think that he's left some yardage out there too. All right, and so I think it's a little bit of everything. But for us to be successful, we've got to make sure he's more productive.
Neal, bye weeks obviously are big for recruiting. What's the plan, heading into this
Yeah,
week?
we had everybody out yesterday. You can get we're using our evaluations day. I think we had 10 of our 11 out on the road yesterday. We got a high number out on the road on Thursday. And then everybody will be out on Friday, and we got some Saturday games as well. So,
Also want to ask you about the new rule where you can recap some scholarships. How does that change things for you guys moving
well,
forward?
it does change. There's some. I'm trying to get a good grasp on it because it's not as cut and dry. I thought it was going to be pretty cut and dry. If you've lost more than 7, then you essentially get 32, and you can sign those in December. But that's not. There's some fine print in there that's a little bit different. So I got to get a really good understanding on how we can use those. But we will have 32 available. I mean, y'all know we're down scholarships and all that kind of stuff. But we'll have 32. It helps. It definitely helps. It definitely is going to allow us to take probably another D lineman than we thought high school wise. It's going to allow us to take probably another high school and a transfer DB, another body at linebacker, probably 2 more wideouts. So it's definitely beneficial.
When do you decide if those 32, how many of those are transfers, how many of those are high school guys? I mean, you have a pretty good plan normally. Do you have a plan yet?
Yeah, I've got one, probably not one I'm ready to just say yet, Greg. I will say this, though. I really still believe this is like, from a development standpoint, and we're going to have to fill some holes with some transfers, okay? But when you're dealing in the transfer world, right, you're going to have some hits and you're going to have some misses, all right? And that's the same way as recruiting in high school kids. But in high school guys, when you have them, all right, you can get them in your program, okay, and you can develop them. So you're not, just because we're struggling, you're not going to see this wholesale. We're going to go transfers and in large numbers. I don't think that's the right way to get to where we want to get to. And that's not negative on anybody that's doing it that way. I just don't think that's the right recipe. And I think we've got some guys that we've been able to recruit, and you're starting to see some fruits, and I think you'll see even more of them next year. But to answer your question in totality are we going to have to add some pieces in secondary and linebacker from the transfer portal? Yes, because we've got holes there that definitely need to be filled, right? Are we going to be aggressive in the transfer portal on offensive linemen? Yes. So we do, but it's still going to be – you're not going to see us – and I'm giving you a long answer here, but you're not going to see us go, hey, let's go get 15, transfers. That's not going to be the recipe for me anyway.
You mentioned yesterday that I think the word used that you're in it for the long haul.
Mm-hmm.
Can you expand upon that? Has it been slower than you thought that it would be? Has things changed over time?
No, I think this is I knew this wasn't going to be a quick turn, okay? And, nobody that's going to read what you write or on what everybody's typing on social media right now, that's not going to fire people up. Now, did I think we'd be able to win some games in the fourth quarter of the year? Did I think we'd be 2-4 right now? No. Did I think we were going to be 6-0? probably not either. You know, but I did feel like we would play better and be able to close out some of these games in the fourth quarter that we simply have not. But I knew this was going to be a process, you know, and I knew that early on. You know, we made some turns last year, you know, but I probably like defensively. I'll give you an example. Like Tony Fields was a difference maker for us. He erased some of our issues, you know, and like Josh Chandler's he's playing really good football, but he's not an eraser with the speed that Tony Fields is. Okay, and so did I think that we'd be sitting here in a better record than 2-4? Absolutely. Did I think that we were going to arrive in year 3 and be at the top of the league? No, you know. And now, do I believe with all my heart that we'll get there? Absolutely, I do.
Neal, is it hard to believe you guys haven't won a road game since that 2019 finale at TCU?
That damn bowl game don't count. We just went the night before. I'm counting that one. I'm glad. I'm looking glass half full today, man. Now, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. You know, I do really count that Liberty Bowl just because we treat it like a night away game. But nah, we haven't. You know, we've come close, but we haven't gotten it done.
Okay, thanks, Cody.
That it. You can go fire away. You can finish up. We got.
You know, offensive line, you have what you have, and I think you said reactionary. You don't want to be reactionary, so I'm not picking your words apart, but clearly not everything is on the table because some things can't or shouldn't be on the table. What isn't on the table?
So and that's fair, Mike. So, like here's what I'll say. There's things that I think are non-negotiable about, you know, what we believe in from a program standpoint and what we believe in from a schematic principle standpoint in each phase of the game. Like we're not getting off that. You know, we're not not sitting here hitting the panic button. I'm not freaking out. I haven't lost belief in our players. I haven't lost belief in our staff. But what we do is we've got to, you know, kind of reflect. You know, where have we made mistakes? The positives. How do we compound? How do we continue to build on those positives? You know, what needs to be fixed? Or maybe more importantly, how do we hide what our deficiencies are better? And then what do we readjust? And I guess that's probably what everybody wants to know is where do we readjust? You know, because you can't continue to do the same things if they're not working. And so and that's really what the process of this week is about is figuring out, all right, how do we build on our positives? How do we diminish it where our deficiencies are? Are there some young guys that give us a better opportunity? You know, and then where do we readjust our planning? But the basics and really the tenets of our program we're not changing. Does that answer your question? Okay. All right. Y'all have a good day. Thanks.